राधा कृष्ण पादान सहगन ललिता श्री विशाखामृतं हे कृष्णा करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधो जगतपते गोपेशा गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमस्तुते तप्त कंचन गौरंगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वंशकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Thank you all so much for joining today's um, discussion on this beautiful verse. I was very excited when I got to when Madhvati Prabhuji told me that this was the verse for today. Um, I think for a while we've been hearing and reading some very philosophically heavy verses, and they are very important, and they truly lay the foundation for us to read and dive deeper and immerse ourselves in the meaning of beautiful poetic verses like these. And so I'm I know for like a while it was tough for me, right? It's been an arduous journey, at least for me. I'm not sure if others can relate, but Kapila Muni's um Kapila Muni's discourses to Mother Devahuti, who's the perfect listener, are incredibly um, metaphysical. They talk about the the material world and spiritual world, and they're they can be very complex and difficult. And so when we get the chance, when Kapila Muni like pauses for a second in his discourse of the material and spiritual world to give us a small glimpse, like a jalaksha, a window into the spiritual world of Krishna in this beautiful poetic way. It feels, it feels, like that sweet after a spicy meal. At least that's how I've been feeling, because even just preparing for these classes with learning about Kapila Muni's discourses has been challenging because it's been so complex. So having a chance, and I'll go back to the verse. Some people joined a little later. Having a chance to read a verse like this that immediately, of course, we have this foundation of philosophy, but immediately we're able to connect because of the beautiful poetry in the verse and the beautiful translation by Srila Prabhupada. It feels like such a blessing. At least I'm very excited and I feel so nourished reading a verse like this, because I think when we hear about beauty, our our life, we can see more beauty in our lives. And Krishna is so beautiful, as you know, described with every single word, so perfectly chosen by Srila Prabhupada and Kapila Muni. It's you know, more on that later, but um I definitely feel incredibly excited and lucky that I got a chance to discuss this verse with all of you. Yes, I'm very happy. So we have this beautiful verse. I'll read the translation one more time because it's so pretty. I'll read it multiple times, I think, throughout the course of this discussion. The Supreme Personality of Godhead has a cheerful, lotus-like countenance with ruddy eyes like the interior of a lotus, and a swarthy body like the petals of a blue lotus. He bears a conch discus, and a mace in three of his hands. So when I first read this verse, it seemed so interesting. But I think the first thing that popped out was that Srila Prabhupada has a much more expansive vocabulary than me. I do not know the meaning of quite a few of the words in the translation. A countenance, ruddy, and swarthy. So I was thinking, what is the meaning of these? And I wonder if any of you are able to share, maybe in the chat, what you think that countenance, ruddy, swarthy mean in your own words. It's the first time I had heard of these words. I was thinking, what does this mean? So we can go one by one. So it's mentioned that Krishna has a lotus-like countenance. A lotus-like countenance. And I'm sure you've heard this description of Krishna being like a lotus. His eyes are like a lotus. His thighs are like a lotus. His arms are like a lotus. Namo Padmana, Namo Padmaya, Namo Padmamaline, Namo Pankajanaಭಾಯ, Namo Pankajamaline, Namo Pankajanetraya, Namo Pankajanaಭಾಯ. Right? I think I'm speaking the verse in a different lines, but with the very, very famous verse by Mother Kunti to Krishna, where she stops him at Hastinapura as he's leaving for Dwarka, and she tells him, "Every part of you is beautiful like a lotus." Most famous verse of the Srimad Bhagavatam, I would say. So Krishna's lotus-like countenance, his lotus-like face, his facial expression is like a lotus. And we'll go into this in depth because I know there's so many things being said in this particular verse, but I want to focus on lotus because it seems to be a recurring theme in the Srimad Bhagavatam and in multiple other scriptures where Krishna is described to look like a lotus. So he has a lotus-like facial expression. He has ruddy eyes. And so what does ruddy mean? Ruddy means a lively reddish color. So sometimes, and I'll give you an example. Sometimes when you've been out in the sun for a long time, and of course this is an example I'm making in material so we can relate to what Krishna is spiritual, but this is what I was thinking about in order for me to relate to it. When you've been out in the sun for a long day and you've been playing outside, you've been maybe working, you come home and your face is flushed and there's this natural redness, right? This brightness, even though you've been outside, maybe you're a little tan, which goes into the next swarthy part of Krishna's description. There's a particular word that in the lexicon currently that it's going around in like the beauty community, and they call it sun-kissed. You've been out in the sun for a long time, you're sun-kissed. There's like this natural blush, a natural reddish color, beautiful, lively color. Maybe your skin is a little flushed and bright red. And so it's very alive. Um, it's very beautiful. And then there's Krishna has a swarthy body. So I was thinking, what does swarthy mean? And swarthy refers to a darkish complexion. So Krishna's darkish complexion is compared to, in this verse, to petals of a blue lotus and the blue rain clouds. So that dark color, after being out in the sun, or the color of the blue lotus, or the color of the blue clouds is compared to Krishna's body. So those are a few definitions. In case, hopefully that gives a little context. Ruddy means red, swarthy means dark, and countenance means facial expression. Okay, we'll go on to we'll go back to the purport. There's a few things here. Krishna is described here as Nilot Baladala, meaning that it is like that of a lotus flower with petals tinted blue and white. And so this is something I wanted to talk about. What does it mean to be lotus-like? We hear this. I'm sure you've also heard this. He has lotus-like eyes. He has lotus-like thighs. He has lotus-like um, arms. Everything is lotus-like. He wears a garland of lotus. What does that really mean? Why do we keep on seeing lotus-like? And as someone who has grown up in the US and I don't get to see lotuses very often, I think I think for me at least, it's an important exercise to understand what exactly a lotus is. So let's talk about that. What do you think about when you think of a lotus? And you can please share in the chat. I know it's early in the morning. And you all might be getting ready for work, so I understand if it's not possible. But if you would be willing, if you can share in the chat, what do you think of when you think of a lotus? So one thing I was thinking, and please feel free to share in the chat while I go through my list. I was thinking that a lotus is pure. There's this verse in chapter 5 of the Gita where the lotus comes up out of the pond and it's out in the air untouched from the mud pond and perfectly pure and away from impurities. See a chat. Mona Mataji says, it is pink and it has beautiful bloomed petals. Beautiful. That lively pinkish color, beautiful petals. Yes, like the shape of Krishna's eye. Amritananda Prabhu said, it's a softness. Yep. Madhupati Prabhuji says, purity, it grows in a muddy place, untouched by the environment. Yeah, so Krishna is that Shuddha Sattva. He's untouched by everything material. I think a lotus is special. And maybe this is just my American self talking, but I don't get to see lotuses that often. And often, we see this maybe sometimes in the temple, we give on a special festival day, we don't give a marigold, we don't give a mums, we give a carnation, we give roses, we give sometimes if someone has paid a lot of money to get a lotus from India and they're frozen up, then we offer that. And that's only if it's an incredibly special day. So that's something I was thinking. A lotus is special. I was thinking that a lotus is divine. It's it's otherworldly. A lotus is graceful. I was thinking that it the way it looks, it emits a sort of grace for me. Now there's another layer. Kapila Muni said that he's Nilot Paladala. He looks like a blue lotus. So what does it mean? What do we think about when we think about a blue lotus? I can't, I've only seen maybe a pink lotus maybe 5 times in my entire life. I've never seen a blue lotus. What do we think about? I think it's incredibly rare. Let's think. Unique. By sunshine it blooms. That's very interesting. I didn't know that. It's unique. It's rare. We can't find it. I was looking online for pictures of a blue lotus, And every single picture was different. So I think that maybe there is some mistake in Google. I don't think maybe that blue lotus has, I don't even know if this is really a blue lotus. They gave a Egyptian lotus variety when I searched for it. I'm not sure. And there's so many different ones, so many different knockoffs, right? So I was thinking it's like a black pearl, right? It's so different that people are always trying to make a counterfeit of it. People are always trying to pass off as something else, as a blue lotus, because it's so special, so rare. It is a secret. It's Rajavidya. It's a secret of secrets. What does a blue lotus look like? I don't know. Krishna looks like a blue lotus. It's otherworldly. Like I can't comprehend what a blue lotus looks like. How will I comprehend what Krishna looks like? And so these are the kind of things I was thinking when I thought about this particular part of the report. Okay. Maybe talk one more time. Lotuses are day blooming plants. They open early in the afternoon and closing by mid-afternoon. They completely close at night. I see. And so I guess that's why when we bring lotuses from the India to the US, they're always closed up. That helps. It's mentioned here there are 12 different forms of Vishnu, and the meditator should focus their attention on those 12 different forms. And Simesha Prabhuji has been leading these courses on the teachings of Lord Chaitanya, and I don't want to talk about that much, but in chapter 7, I can mention it here. It is mentioned more about the 12 different forms of Vishnu. And we are currently in the March to April month. And so the current predominating deity is Vishnu. And so by taking this time to focus on the beautiful form of Lord Vishnu, as we are in this course, it brings all auspiciousness to the life, to our day, from an astrological perspective, from a Vaishnava perspective, from a spiritual perspective. So thank you all for being here. By inviting auspiciousness into your life, we're inviting auspiciousness to the world. And whenever we put tilak on our body, we say Om Keshavaya Nama, Om Vishnu Nama, Om Vishnave Nama, Om Madhusudanaya Nama. And so by doing this, we are also inviting that auspiciousness, and we're focusing on 12 of the unlimited forms of Krishna. Right? So thank you all for being here. It's also mentioned that Krishna's attitude is cheerful. And I was thinking about this, is that when you're thinking about someone who is happy in your life, you become happy. When you're thinking about someone who's having something very hard going on in their life, a struggle, we become sad. And it's necessary. This material world is full of disappointment. But if we can think about Krishna, who is ever cheerful, whose attitude is ever cheerful, then we invite that happiness, that cheer, that excitement to our own life. All right. Okay. So I have a few more minutes left. I'm going to check about anything else. Okay. I have one more thing before I have a short meditation exercise for everyone. I want to start off the day right with this beautiful verse. So I wanted to set 1 or 2 minutes just for a meditation. I wanted to mention that Kapila Muni has been giving us so much incredible philosophy this past chapter. It's been deep, it's been complex, it's been pushing my own intellectual boundaries to understand and comprehend it. And it was so surprising to me that he would present such a beautiful poetic verse out of the middle of such deep, complex philosophy. And I was thinking about the qualities of a devotee. And the 24 of the 26 qualities of a devotee is that he is poetic. He knows all this incredible metaphysical, physical
We cannot hear you, Surbi.
Hare Krishna, dear devotees. I'm sorry, my computer got disconnected. But I'll just end the class by mentioning that I wanted to appreciate Srila Prabhupada and Kapila Muni for not being these intellectual and philosophical gurus, but also for being these beautiful, heart-led poets who can so beautifully describe Krishna, right? Like Srila Prabhupada has this, bachelor's in English literature, and we can see. I'm not even. I grew up in America, and I'm not aware of these words. So I wanted to mention how Srila Prabhupada expertly uses language to describe Krishna so that people like me and people in general can have this greater access to Krishna, to think about him, to be with him, because to think of Krishna is to be with him. So those are some thoughts. Thank you all so much for listening. I hope this verse brightened your day like it brightened mine. Hare Krishna.
We have still 1 minute. Anybody has any reflection? No
Hare
to share.
Krishna. Please accept humble obeisance, all praise to Srila Prabhupada. I have a thought, maybe Surbi and others can validate it. As you said, Madhupati Prabhu, the lotus opens in the morning, starts closing by mid-afternoon, and then completely shuts by night. And I was drawing a parallel why lotus is the symbol of purity. Of course, one is because of the dirty surroundings, it still remains pure. The other is also the day is divided into the three gunas. It starts with sattvic, goes to tamasic, and ends with goes to rajasic and ends with tamasic. So I was able to draw a parallel. I don't know if it's just speculation or is there any shastric reference to this. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhu. Yeah, no, I don't think I have heard as far as the modes of nature and the parallel with lotus. In the first verse of Siksastakam, Shriya Kairava Chandrika, that line translation, lotus analogy is used, that how the holy name, by the holy name, the white lotus opens up.
That's at night, correct?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, but good parallel. Yep, we will explore more. Thank you very much. Introspective sage verse in Bhagavad Gita. Okay. Yep. All right. Thank you very much. We'd like to wish you all a safe and Krishna conscious day and weekend ahead. A weekend filled with festivities. In fact, this is the most auspicious weekend of the year. Gaudiya Vaishnavas celebrate Gaur Purnima as the new year. Gaur Satabda means our year changes on Gaur Purnima day according to that calendar. So we wish you all a happy Gaur Purnima over the weekend, and we invite you all to take all the opportunities you have to participate, serve, invite others, and spread the glories of Mahaprabhu. Okay, we'll have a lot of festivities over the weekend. Tomorrow evening, like 8:30 p.m., Gaur Purnima Adivash ceremony will begin by offering different articles to Mahaprabhu, which will be used during the entire year. So you all are invited to attend. We'll have arrangement for prasadam and kirtan. Okay. Anything else, Samesha Babu? I don't know whether it's
Yeah, the Gundicha Margan is tomorrow morning also.
okay. Gundicha Marjan is tomorrow morning. Cleaning the temple and the surroundings so that the Lord can manifest in our heart, honestly, on Sunday. Good. Well, thank you.
Hare Krishna. What time is that, Prabhuji, tomorrow morning?
9:30, Prabhuji.
9:30. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Okay. Wonderful. Wonderful. We'd like to offer our prayers to the Supreme Lord by chanting Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna, Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Rama, Hare Rama,
Hare
Rama
Krishna,
Rama.
Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna, Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Rama, Hare
Hare Krishna, Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna, Hare
Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama,
Hare
Rama
Rama,
Rama,
Hare
Hare Hare.
Rama, Rama, Hare Hare.
Shri Nrsimha, Jai Nrsimha, Jai Nrsimha, Praladesha, Jaya Padma Mukha Padma Lingam, Ugraveedam Mahavishnam, Sarvam Sarvamukam,
Nirantam
Nrsimham
Sarvabhaumukam,
Vishnu Bhadram Nityam
Darshanam
Nityam
Vishnu
Namidam.
Bhadram Mati Mati Namami.
Nrsimha Bhagwan ki
Ki
Jai,
Jai,
Prabhupada Maharaj ki
Ki
Jai.
Jai.
Bless our Prabhupada obeisances to all the assembled Vaishnavas, Manchakalpatarubhascha,
Vanchakalpatarvasya Kripa
Kripa Sindhu Bhayevacha, Patitanam
Patitanam
Pavnebhyo Vaishnavebhyo
Vaishnavibhyo Namo
Namaha.
Namo.
वैष्णववृंद की जय,
Jai,
आज श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय,
Ki
श्रीला
Jai,
प्रभुपाद की जय, गौर प्रेमानंद
Jai.
हरि हरि हरि
Hari 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 Bol. Thank you everybody. Hari Bol.
Thank
Hare
you,
Krishna.
Hari Bol.
Krishna, Haribo.
Thank you.